Hey, it's time for us to vote again, and here are my choices for the Balance Council. So, starting with increase in power, I have Sarah and Johnny. So, basically, the reason why I've chosen them for the Balance Patch is, or Balance Council is, I really think giving them +1 power will make them more playable. They are mostly seen in Scoia'tael Scoia'tael decks, which is mostly like a meme deck, but I think giving them extra 1 power will make them more appealing. The reason being, a lot of damage cards in all the faction, especially bronze, have 4 damage in them. For example, Joust from Nilfgaard, so, and Gutting Slash from Skellige, all of them like that have 4, and these easily die to that. But if we make them 5, their survivability increases, which makes them little appealing. So that's why I have given votes to them, and it would be fun to see them in more decks other than Scoia'tael. So if that makes them pretty playable, yeah, +1 power is pretty good. And the next one is Sultan. So this is Sultan with Resiliency, and I wanted to actually decrease his provisions, but I thought, you know what, the better route would be making him 5 powered. So him being 4 actually makes him pretty vulnerable to certain cards, especially neutral cards like, there you go, Offering, and also there's another card that rarely sees play. There you go, Piercing Missile. But nobody plays this card because this is not really good, but this card is very good. So he easily dies to those, and I think if you make them +5, like +1 to make him 5 power would make him better instead of decreasing his provisions. He's pretty good card. So I think we'll first go with this change and see to make him more survivable, or yeah, like let him survive for more. So that's why I have given him +1 power in my voting. And for power decrease by 1, I wanted to go with Kraken. It's a very cool card, but very underplayed in its own deck. People rather go with other cards, and I'm trying to work on a Skellige Beast deck, and I thought, you know what, this is pretty good, but if it had 1 less power, it would be pretty good. So that's why I have added this. The next one is Madame Marquise Serenity. So when she came out, it was kind of an underrated card, but if you remember from my video, I really liked the old video of the Passiflora deck that I've created. I really like this card, and I think she was underrated when she came out, but now she's extremely good because people figured out to play her in other decks and to see how strong she is. She's also an engine who thins 2 other engines, and now she's in a lot of SY decks. So I think making Madame Marquise 1 power less would be good, because I don't think increasing its provision is the best way to go for this card. Like, I don't think we should all be like, oh shish, this card is OP, let's increase the provisions. But I think we can change power for this card, so that's why I have voted her. And next is Incubus. So why are we giving -1 power to Incubus? Because it is in every monster deck. So monsters as a faction has pretty bad bronze cards, but the bronze cards that are good in monster, they are literally in every single monster deck. Incubus is there in my vampire deck, he's there in my beast deck, he's there in my ogroid deck. He's just a very good card. So, and as you know, you must have seen a lot of opponents playing this on ladder, and he came out as a 5p card, and Gwent's made him 6p because he was underplayed. Now I think he should go back to the original state. So that is why I have given him -1 power for my voting. Now we are going with provisions. So increase in provisions, I really think this card deserves it, and it's a very funny card, right? People really want it to be 9 so that they can make Golden Necker really good. I think Golden Necker right now is in a good state. ignore the fact that Magic Compass is now 9, right? And Roach is now 9. So ignore those two facts. Without that, I think Golden Echo was in a pretty good state. And then these two got buffed, Roach and Magic Compass, and now it's again very oppressive. So I think the reason I didn't think we should go to make Golden Necker a 10p card and Sirinova a 10p card. Instead, we should go with behind cards that are really broken. So I think Magic Compass is the biggest anchor that makes Golden Necker really deadly, and I think we should cut it out and make it 10p. This is not a 9p card. I know a lot of people and especially streamers have pushed for this, but I really believe this is not a good card. It's like a temple, right? A temple is even more shit, like design wise, and this thing is like for 9p you can get a legendary. I don't really like this card's design, but no, I actually like this card's design than temples, but I think this should be a 10p card, and I think a lot of community is voting for this. And Reaver Scout. So I know this deck has completely been dead, and I really don't like that fact. Mind you, I really hate Reaver decks. Absolutely hate Reaver decks, and I will never play this decks, right? I've never played this deck on ladder because I absolutely hate it, and I don't want to be an asshole just to ruin others' fun. So maybe I will play a deck just to make content out of it for you guys, but otherwise I'm not gonna touch this deck. But I really feel sad that this got nerfed so bad to a point that it is dead. I don't want that to happen in the Balance Council. I think we should all be fair to every single cards, and I understand the community was frustrated with this card, and that's why most of the people voted to kill it. But yeah, I think we should revert this back to 2 power, but the problem is Reaver Scout. So this card is a bronze card that lets you play another soldier. Anything that lets you play a base copy of another card is insanely strong. Like Slave Driver were OP because of that issue. So I think we should make this 6p and yeah, just be done with it. I don't think cards like this should be a 5p card. This is extremely strong in their own decks. And the next one to increase provisions is Frenzy Dao. So this card is pretty OP, especially with 2 thinning, 2 damage, 2 removal. So, and nobody is gonna play this alone. So the fact that it's a 7/7 is insane with 2 thinning, 2 damage, 2 removal. So we should reduce this or increase its proficiency to 8 and maybe make it 6 power. But let's go with increasing the proficiency first because it's a very strong card and it's a neutral, which is really good. Okay, so for example, this thing is kinda like Madame Marquise where she thins 2 cards, this also thins 2 cards, conditions are there for both, but then this removes or moves around 2 units from your opponent's side, which is insanely good, and it's a 7p neutral. Neutral should not be strong as faction cards, so that is why I have voted for this, even though I really like this card, but I think it's pretty bit strong. So in decreasing provisions, I want to go with Imlerith again. So I voted for this card last patch, but this didn't go through, and I really hope somebody's voting for this thing because I really think this card deserves to be an 8p card, not a 9p card. And this is one of the most underplayed cards in Monster. Recently people have been playing it because it's easy thinning and all that stuff, but I think this should be an 8p card, so it'll be really good. And also I have certain decks in my mind with this thing. It would be really nice with it being 8p. Land of the Thousand Fables. So why are we decreasing this thing's provisions? Because it's a very underplayed card, and I think on 9, while it is 9p, it'll make it appealing for a lot of decks, especially Golden Necker, and the order ability is pretty cool, which transforms a special card into your hand to a random unit with the same provisions cost. So it's a very wacky card, and I really like this card, but I know it is it's underplayed, so that's why I voted for this, and I have seen a lot of people in the community voting for this, and I totally agree. And the last card is Beast. the beast. Okay, so this again, monsters have a lot of underplayed cards, right? I would like this to go as a test to a 6p, uh, to have it more play in the deck, like in monster faction, because this card is never played. People will go for piggies which are the same design with another condition. Piggies are more appealing than this because they're like 5p and yeah, a bronze engine, and you can make multiple copies out of them. But I think this being 6p is going to make it really playable, and we should at least give it a try to make it 6p. So these are my votes, and I have actually gone through a lot of community posts and on Reddit and blogs and streamers, and I've collected so much data, and I wanted to vote based on that. So it's like a culmination of all the votes that everybody has done. And I know there's a Polish community and there's a Chinese community and Russian community for Gwent, and some of them are really like, they are so different than the community that I know in voting, that's why I think the first community vote caught most of the people by surprise, because who voted for V or who voted for Saskia? I like this change, so yeah, it's not complaining. I'm not even complaining for V. This card was never played, so now it's been played. But the point is, a lot of community out there votes for certain card, and we don't know that. And I haven't seen any Polish community vote. I have seen Chinese community vote, and so that's the reason, like, a lot of things are surprising for us. Maybe the Chinese community wanted these things to be, wait, where's Siege? Yeah, no, the Chinese community or the Polish community or Russian community, I don't know, I'm not saying which community, voted for these things to be 13 power provisions, which is insanely scary, and I think this should be 14. The point is, like, there will be a lot of vote that comes out of nowhere, and like we'll be like, oh, what the hell is that? Was it really necessary? So yeah, but I have gone through a lot of community votes and stuff, and I made my decision based on that. And yeah, I just want to end by saying one thing. So one card that surprised me a lot was this in the last voting, last balance council, and I sat on this card for a long while to think, does this deserve to be 6p? And I actually think the community is right. I know Nilfgaard players hearing this will be like, pulling their hair, but hear me out. This card is as good as the Messengers of the Sea card from Skellige Reign. So as we all know, that's an insanely strong card. A lot of people think that's outright broken, which it is. But the problem with that card is that's only viable in a rain deck. And in a rain deck, this is absolutely insane. So when I sat through and thought about, hey, does Thirsty Dream actually deserve to be a 6p card? I mean, I understand why, because in a status deck, it is as messed up as the Messengers of the Sea, but I do think this is much more broken than the Tasty Dame. So yeah, that's the only thing I want to point out. So I would love to know what you guys voted for, and if you think my votes are wrong, or if you think my choices are bad, do let me know in the comment section below. I would love to interact with all of you and hear your thoughts and everything. So again, these are my votes, and I'll see you guys next time.